One day, a rich father took his young son on a trip to the country, with the firm purpose to show him how poor people can be. They spent a day and night in the farm of a very poor family. When they got back from their trip, the father asked his son, "How was the trip?" "Very good, Dad." "Did you see how poor people can be?" the father asked. "Yeah." "And what did you learn?" The son answered, "El saw that we have a dog at home and they have 4. We have a pool that reaches to the middle of the garden. They have a creek that has no end. We have imported lamps in the garden. They have the stars. Our patio reaches to the front yard. They have a whole horizon." When the little boy was finishing, his father was speechless. His son added, "Thanks, Dad, for showing me how poor we are. Isn't it true that it all depends on the way you look at things? If you have love, friends, family, health, good humor, and a positive attitude toward life, you've got everything." About 6 months ago, my neighbor asked me for the Wi-Fi password. I gave it to him because it didn't cost me anything and because Elle got along with him. Yesterday I was walking home and he was at the door. Elle stopped to talk a bit as usual and he happily told me he now had Netflix. At that, Elle jokingly said, "I work hard, barely have time to watch TV, but it's great if you could lend me your password to watch some shows." "I'd appreciate it." A voice was heard in the distance. It was his wife sitting in the car. "We can't give it to him because I'm the one who pays and I can't share it." The most total silence reigned. The man apologized, subheading, "I said there was no problem." We kept talking about other things. As they went in, he stayed out doing his stuff. Shortly thereafter, his wife came out to call him. She seemed very nervous. Said the television wasn't working. My neighbor came into the house, looked out the window. After a few minutes, he and his wife came to call me and told me the Wi-Fi wasn't working, that the password wasn't going in. I looked at them and said, "I changed my password because it's me paying and I can't share it." The wife turned red and tried to say something, but Elle said, "Ma'am, I have my network and you have your Netflix. Everything is fine. Everyone is happy." They turned around and left, closing the door. They never spoke to me again. Here's the lesson Elle learned from it. Friendship must be mutual. Love must be mutua. Affection must be mutual. Sharing must be mutual. In an upscale restaurant on the streets of the United States, there was a female waitress named Alice. One day, an old man looking like a homeless person, dressed in dirty clothes, entered the restaurant. Alice's colleagues, repulsed by his unattractive appearance, were very resentful, believing he shouldn't come to such a high-end establishment. As the old man wandered around the restaurant, looking for a place to sit, Alice's actions surprised everyone present. She approached the old man with a smile, greeted him as if he were a regular, and said, "My name is Alice. If you need anything, I'm here to serve you." The old man was deeply grateful for her kindness, as it made him feel respected and welcome. However, Alice's manager warned her that if the old man couldn't pay for his meal, the cost would be deducted from her wages. Alice agreed and served the old man the food he desired, telling him, "These are complimentary gifts from the restaurant's 10th anniversary celebration. The food is free." After the meal, the old man thanked Alice and left the restaurant in good spirits. Later, when Alice came to clean the table, she found a note on it. The note read, "Thank you, Alice. When so many people rejected me, only you came over and treated me with genuine care and attention. I am very grateful for your kindness and compassion." Not long after, Alice was unexpectedly promoted and given a raise, replacing her previous manager. It was then revealed that the scruffy old man was actually the owner of the restaurant. He had disguised himself as a beggar to see how the staff would treat a poor customer. Moved by Alice's kind behavior, the owner decided to promote her to manager, recognizing her kindness and leadership. This story tells us that even when facing challenges and skepticism, maintaining kindness and compassion can bring unexpected rewards. A long time ago, in a village in the United States, an old lady spread a rumor that her neighbor was a thief. As a result, the young man was arrested. A few days later, the young man was proven innocent and released. On his way home, he felt humiliated and decided to take the old lady to court, accusing her of defamation. The old lady told the judge those were just comments and they didn't harm anyone. Before announcing the verdict, the judge said to the old lady, "Write down everything you said about him on a piece of paper, cut it into pieces, and throw them away on your way home. Come back tomorrow for the verdict." The next day, the judge told the old lady, "Before accepting the judgment, you must go out and collect all the pieces of paper you threw away yesterday." The old lady replied, "I can't do that. The wind has surely scattered them, and I don't know where to find them." The judge replied, "Gossip is like those pieces of paper in the wind. Once spread, it is nearly impossible to retrieve. It can mercilessly destroy a person's reputation, making it difficult to restore." The old lady realized her mistake and asked for forgiveness. This story teaches us, think carefully before speaking, and don't believe or spread unsubstantiated information. Otherwise, we may unintentionally damage someone's reputation. Once words are spoken, they are like paper scattered in the wind, impossible to reclaim. 4 old friends reunited at a reunion 30 years after graduation. When one of them went to the bathroom, the remaining 3 began to discuss the achievements of their sons. The first friend proudly mentioned that his son is an outstanding economist who became a banker and is very wealthy. He gifted his best friend a brand new luxury sports car. The second friend talked about his son being a talented pilot who not only founded his own airline, but is also very wealthy. He gave his friend a private jet. The third friend mentioned his son is an innovative engineer who owns his own development company, is very successful, and had a large villa custom-built for his best friend. When the fourth old friend came back, curious about the topic of their discussion, the 3 others asked about his son. The father said that his son is gay, working as a stripper in a famous gay bar. The other 3 laughed and directly said that his son wasn't successful and might be a disappointment. But the father replied, No, his son is actually doing very well because for his birthday last week, he received a luxury sports car, a private jet, and a large villa, all gifts from his 3 boyfriends." In a bustling town in the United States, there was an elderly man who had fallen into dire straits, utterly destitute and alone. His stomach ached from hunger, and despite his best efforts, he couldn't find a single person willing to offer him any help. He knocked on doors, begged strangers for food, but every door shut firmly in his face. Desperate and with no other option, this old man did something he had never done before. He stole a piece of bread. However, he was caught. As he stood there, starving and humiliated, the very citizens who had refused to help him were quick to condemn him. He was dragged to court and stood trembling before the judge, his eyes brimming with tears. "I was almost starving to death," the old man stammered. "I asked many people for help, but everyone turned me away. This is the first time in my life I've stolen something, and I really didn't know what else to do." The courtroom fell silent. The judge looked at the old man and saw the despair in his eyes, the sadness deeply etched into his face. Moved by the man's story, the judge realized that this case could not be treated like any other, that no one expected. He sentenced the old man to a fine of $10. For someone who had nothing at all, this was a significant sum. But before anyone could react, the judge reached into his own pocket, pulled out a $10 bill, and placed it in the court's fund. "I'll pay your fine," the judge said firmly but kindly. At that moment, the elderly man was granted his freedom. But the judge's actions did not stop there. Rising from his seat, the judge scanned the room and addressed everyone present. "This case is not over yet. In a city where a person has to steal just to avoid starvation, I sentence every person present here to donate $10. There were murmurs in the crowd, but no one dared to oppose. The judge removed his hat and handed it to the bailiff. "Pass this hat around," he ordered. and collect $10 from each person present. The bailiff moved through the courtroom, gathering contributions from the 48 people present. Some gave willingly, others reluctantly. But in the end, the hat was filled with $480. The bailiff handed the money to the judge, who then presented the entire sum to the elderly man. "Not only are you free," the judge whispered softly, "but now you have the means to take care of yourself." This incident serves as a reminder. No one should have to steal just to survive. The old man, deeply moved by this kindness, could hardly find words. With tears of gratitude streaming down his face, he left the courtroom with a newfound hope, knowing that a simple act of compassion had changed his life.